All right, we have State Rep-elect Brent Money with us. Have you gotten used to the title yet?
No, I have not, and it's
Really?
still a mouthful, State Rep-elect.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I bet so.
It's like, let's just get to the day so we can just call you Representative Money. First of all, thanks for being here. You're on your way to Austin to get things set up, situated. The session's about to begin.
Yes.
And we were chatting with you before we came on here, and I think this is really instructive because you said a lot of things that we didn't realize about the process. You've been through orientation now.
Yes.
What does that cover? Are you ready?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready or not. I think we spent about a week, and a lot of it was showing us where things are in the Capitol and the restroom. Here's, we had a nice Capitol tour. We met a lot of state agency directors and things like that. But man, there's still a lot to learn. I think that we're just gonna have to learn by fire.
Mm-hmm. And you've been to the Capitol before. You know how the process works. I think what people don't realize probably is that as an elected representative, you can't hire staff until you get sworn in. That's when the money starts coming for your office, right?
That's exactly right. So right now, I'm representative-elect, but I'm not a representative.
Sure.
So I don't have access to my office. I don't have a parking spot. I don't have staff. I don't have an email address. I don't have access to the state software to work.
You can't file any bills or anything.
There's really almost nothing you can do to do the actual job until you're sworn in and it's go time.
Wow.
So you have all of these ideas after being elected. You want to start filing bills and so forth, and your hands are sort of tied at this point.
Yeah, you can do it, and a lot of the incumbents have helped us and said, hey, you give us the idea, we'll work through the process.
We'll put see, Wheeler does that all the time too. He wants to put his name on my work.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, give me all your good ideas.
Right.
I'll put it in, and I'll give you credit for it later.
That's working smarter, not harder.
That's
is what we call
right.
it. Yes.
That's right. So there's been a few reps that have been very helpful with us
Good.
trying to get us through the process. But yeah, we can't do anything on our own yet.
And did they teach you parliamentary procedure? Like, do you know how to speak and when to get up and what
Not
to do?
Not really. I mean, I was on city council. Some of us have some background in party politics or things like that, but not really. A lot of and the House rules are a little bit different than Robert's Rules of Order and things like that. So we have a group of us has worked with Parliamentarian to try to learn some of those things on the side. But that's not something that the House really taught us.
But you got a good seat. You're close to the speaker.
I got a good seat. I'm on the middle aisle, right close to the front dais.
Yeah.
So
A little lottery system there for that?
Yes. So there's 32 incoming freshmen. I drew ping pong ball number 7. So 6 people picked before me, and then I had the pick of the
free reign
of the rest. Yeah.
Good.
Who's that speaker going to be, though?
Well, yeah, that's the big news right here. The big story is who's going to be elected speaker: David Cook from Mansfield or Dustin Burrows from Lubbock. Who are you supporting?
I think it's going to be David Cook. David Cook is the Republican nominee. That's the person I'm supporting. But what I'm really excited about, and not just excited for myself, which will be fun, but excited for all of Texas, is that we're finally going to have a speaker debate and race out in front of the public. And that's not because people aren't talking behind the scenes and trying to work things out.
But Republicans have said for a long time they don't want that. Let's deal with this in caucus. Let's get someone nailed down, and let's all go out into the floor and all get behind this person. And that hasn't happened.
That would still be great. But what happened is, as we met in the caucus to try to decide, Dustin Burrows and 25 of his friends walked out in unison and just basically abandoned the process. And so now we are in a spot where, we're trying to get them to come back to our side. They're trying to get us to, join them. And we're all courting Democrats and saying, hey, we think that the system that we're trying to put in place would be better for you guys. And so it's been a kind of a messy process, but it's going to be in front of everybody.
What should David Cook offer to Democrats to get them on board? Because right now Dustin Burrows apparently has more votes lined up with Democrats, obviously. What should Cook give them? I
think what I want Cook to give them is the same thing I want him to give me. It's just a fair chance to let your legislation work through the process. For too long in the Texas House, there has been a group of leadership that kind of decides which things move quickly, which things move slowly. And people that are in good graces get better bills and better committee assignments and better committee referrals for their bills, and the people that are on the outs don't. And so whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you were elected by 200,000 Texans to go there and do a job. And so the Democrats are in the minority. I hope they stay that way. That's great. But that doesn't mean they don't have ideas that need to be heard. They don't have things that matter for their districts. And they shouldn't have to say, well, I have to stay quiet on this thing to get my thing done, or I have to support this thing I don't like in order to get the thing that I want done. Every bill should stand on its own. People should be able to work their way through the process.
In a contested speaker election like this, though, Democrats are in the minority, but of course they hold a lot of power in deciding maybe who gets through. Is that enough, do you think, to sweeten the deal for Democrats, just, as you said, where anybody's bill can make it to debate there on the floor?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that we make a mistake sometimes. Clearly, all Republicans don't think alike. I don't think all Democrats think alike. And so different people have different ideas of what matters to them, and they're going to listen to the reforms that David Cook has promised, and they're going to like some of them, and they're not going to like some of them. And they're going to hear what Dustin Burrows has said and done, and said, well, I would like to work for a speaker like that, or I do not want to work for a speaker like that. And so to me, I think for the minority party, what I would say is David Cook, on the day that we had our caucus meeting for Speaker, a group of people that didn't want him to be Speaker walked out of the room. And some of us said, okay, well, we have rules, let's just go ahead and vote. And David Cook said, no, we're going to wait. We're going to let them come back. And then when it was apparent they weren't coming back, he called or texted every single one of them, people who he knew weren't going to vote for him, and said, come back to the room, let's be a part of the process, let's try to figure this out as Republicans, let's unify. Some did, some didn't. But to me, I think that speaks to the character of a man who will reach across to people that he disagrees with and say, I want you to be a part of the process, I want to listen to you. And I think that's the kind of character of a speaker that I would want if I was in a minority. On the other hand, Dustin Burrows wasn't getting his way, he left.
It's interesting when you say reach across, because this is reaching across to people in your own party. We've talked for the past couple of years about how there appear to be two different Republican parties here in Texas right now. Do you get a visceral sense of that when you're at the Capitol, and does that potentially hamstring Republican priorities going forward into these next 2 years?
It has hamstrung Republican priorities over the last 2 decades. And that doesn't mean there haven't been good things that have gotten accomplished, but I think the representatives that talk about here's all the conservative things we've gotten done, I agree with that. But what they don't talk about is all the conservative things that we haven't gotten done and why that is. And so I was at a rally last night with Attorney General Ken Paxton and about 350 Texans who are tired of this business as usual House, and they think we continue to elect Republicans, and Republicans keep putting the brakes on Republican priorities, and we don't want that. We want to see what true Republican governance would look like.
The Attorney General is on that statewide tour right now, urging these lawmakers who have sided with Dustin Burrows to get behind David Cook, and threatening them, saying, listen, I'm going to primary you if you don't get behind David Cook. What do you think about the retaliation?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can call it a threat or a retaliation. It's more just a promise of the way things are going to be. The party made it clear, not now, but they made it clear at the convention that they wanted the House Republicans to follow the rules that are set in place on how to select a speaker. Rules that Dustin Burrows wrote, actually. He was one of the original architects of this, hey, let's get together as a caucus and decide, back in 2017. And so I think that we had a good process in place. We might still be there if they hadn't walked out trying to decide which person would be able to unify the party. But what happened is when they walked out, they left us with an option between Cook and Calamity. That's it. It's going to be Cook, the Republican nominee, or we're going to have a mess on our hands.
Well, and I would wonder, though, would people on the other end of it say it's either Burrows or Calamity, or maybe they find some alliteration in there. But I'm curious, can you paper over that once this goes one way or the other, or is there going to be sort of this chasm in the Republican Party in the House?
I think the Republicans that decide that they are not going to support the Republican nominee, they're not going to have to answer to me. They're not even really going to have to answer to General Paxton. They're going to have to answer to their own voters. And that's where it's going to become very difficult. This is an issue that I think unites the Republican voters even more than the Paxton impeachment, more than school choice, more than a lot of the issues that have that have generated a lot of energy over the last primary season, this is something that's very easy for people to understand. Is my representative voting for the person that the Republicans wanted, or for the person who left the Republicans and ran to the Democrats?
Let's talk about some GOP priorities. School vouchers, top of the list. You and I have talked about this in the past. What do you think is going to happen this year? Are there finally enough votes to pass this?
I think there are enough votes to pass something called school choice. I've talked with a number of members. I mean, I don't have a whip count or anything like that. I think it's going to be important to see what that bill says.
Well, what do you want it to say? Because that's the big deal. You know, Governor Abbott wanted universal, I think $8,000 or $10,000 per family across the state. Should it be universal, or should it be more limited than that?
No, I think it needs to be absolutely universal. We have to put parents back completely in charge of their own education. And that doesn't mean people will say, well, parents have choice now. Well, I do. You guys probably do. But there's a lot of poor families, there's a lot of single parents that don't really have a choice, and they are in a school because they're in a zip code. And that doesn't even mean that school is necessarily bad. There's some great schools that aren't great fits for individual kids for whatever reason. And we need to put parents back in charge. So it needs to be universal. It needs to apply to every kid in Texas. Certainly we want to take care of the poorest kids first, but there needs to be enough funding for every kid.
And you think there are votes for that?
Man, I sure hope so. And I hope that the governor keeps his foot on the floor. The second thing is we cannot, this program can't infringe on the rights of private schools and homeschoolers to continue to do as they have been doing. So one of the tenets of the program is that it will only be allowed at accredited private schools. You can't just start up a private school next week and say, hey, we're good to go. But if you want to send your kid to an accredited private school, the state can't tell that private school who the enrollment is, who they can hire as teachers, what their curriculum has to be. I think that's critically important. And I think everybody kind of agrees with this. It needs to be separate from any kind of public school funding program. And it probably needs to be coupled with some deregulation of the public schools. I've said throughout my campaign that right now we have this heavily regulated public school environment that really nobody likes, but it's necessary when you have a government-run monopoly to make sure that there's a lot of regulations in place. If we open up to competition, then we should be able to strip away a lot of these crippling regulations and
Such
allow.
as what kind of regulations?
I think the main one that I hear from superintendents, principals, teachers is classroom discipline. You know, I was a high school teacher in the early 2000s, and when I had a problem student, I could give them detention. I could call the assistant principal and get them out of there. The principal could suspend them. Now the amount of paperwork that it goes through just to get a kid removed from your class,
Wow.
the limit, no matter what a kid does, I think that you can't have more than 3 days of suspension. There's a lot of these regulations that are really hurting the learning environment. And then with special needs kids with dyslexia, which I have kids with dyslexia, ADHD in my family, the amount of paperwork, it's like you spend more time explaining to the state what you did to help them than you do actually helping them.
Wow.
I want to ask this because over the years it has been rural Republicans who have stood in the way of school choice vouchers getting through. You represent some rural areas. Are you hearing from people though who say, do not do this to our public schools? Do you have a contingent of people that you're loudly hearing from who are saying we like the public school system the way it is and this will handicap it?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I think that where it's louder in the rural districts is because in fact, all of the communities in my district except for Greenville, the largest employer is a school district.
Right.
And so people, I sat with some superintendents in my home county a few months ago, and I said, hey, I'm a CEO of a business that I own. If the state was talking about changing our industry the way they're talking about changing your industry, I'd be very concerned as well. I get it. I understand the concerns. So we have to figure out a way to work through that. But I will tell you, I polled it during my campaign, very neutral question, and it's about 60-40 in favor of school choice, even in my very rural district.
Oh, wow.
Even though people, I would say, by and large, aren't disappointed with their own school, but they see the value of giving parents options.
So which way are you going to vote? 60-40. I mean, that's a lot of constituents who don't want this.
Yeah. Well, I have been for school choice I mean, really my entire adult life, before it was even a big issue in Texas. So I'm going to vote my principles on that one.
Your school-age children are homeschooled.
Yes.
Let's talk about two other issues here. I know your car's running outside. There will be an $18 billion surplus. What do you think should happen to that money?
We need to give it back to Texans.
How?
Through property tax compression. I'm open to other means of giving it back. Last time we had a $30 billion surplus, and I think we only gave about $12 billion of it back to Texans. And so
a certain portion has to go to the rainy day fund, though, I believe is the way it's set up, right?
Whatever, I mean, we're going to follow the laws and the rules and the Constitution and things like that. I think one thing that every Texan that I talked with, I'll tell you this, I didn't have any Texan that I talked to during my campaign that said I'm not taxed enough. And in fact, even with this historic tax refund the last time, not a tax refund, compression,
Sure,
all of that,
property taxes.
most people didn't see it on their bill,
Right.
because we still have out of control spending, both at the state and local level. We had the largest budget increase, I think, in state history, at least in a long, long time on a percentage basis. And we know we're a growing state, and there's things that we have to do, infrastructure, water, highways, things like that. But everyone's belt is getting tighter at home, and we need to tighten it at the government
Does that
level
mean
as
cutting
well.
some state programs or state
Man, I
departments?
sure hope so.
What do you want to cut?
I don't know that I'm ready to say exactly what I want to cut yet, but I think when I was on city council, the same thing. There's a never-ending list of great things that the government can do with other people's money, and so at some point you have to say, man, that's a great thing. I'm not saying you're wasting. I'm not saying it's fraud. I'm just saying that's not the proper role of government, or we just can't afford it. I've got a list of home improvement projects I really need at my house. But if they're not funded, then I have to put them off. And
Beyond
so,
the big ticket items, though, if once you are able to get in the system and start filing bills, if you had your way and they said, Brent, we're going to give you 3 things that you can, we think will sail through, you just got to file them. What are you pushing for this time in these next 2 years?
I think that the big issues for me, and we may have talked about this last time, but abortion. People think that we've ended abortion in Texas, and we've done well, but frankly, we still have almost as many self-induced abortions now than we did before. It's just instead of happening in a clinic, it's happening at home, which is not as safe. And I think we need to end abortion in Texas.
So fully abolish.
What would that
abortion.
mean? Get rid of the morning after pill, Plan B, stuff like that? Forbidding
Yes,
it in Texas?
but really it means that abortion is murder. That's my belief, both as a Christian and as a biology teacher. When that life is conceived in the image of God, it is its own person. We recognize that in Texas law. If you kill or murder a pregnant woman, that's a double murder.
Yeah.
But if you just kill the baby, it is if you're a doctor, but it's not if you're the mom or if you're the dad. I mean, there's just and so we really have created a 2-class system where we say if you want the baby, then it's murder, but if you don't want the baby, then it's not.
So what more would you legislate then?
Huh?
What more would you legislate?
It's as simple as saying we're going to give equal protection to an unborn child and a not yet born child. We are going to say that if you kill a baby, then we're going to call that murder.
So there would be punishment for
there would be
a
punishment
woman.
for it. There would be punishment for a woman. Now there's also, the law is not just to punish; it's a tutor. The law teaches us what's right and wrong, and I think for too long it's like we have this. Well, this is abortion and this is murder, and I believe it's all murder. And so we need, my family's very involved in caring for pregnant women with unplanned pregnancies. My wife has worked and volunteered at clinics for that. We've been foster parents. We're not just in the fight to stop the murder. We do care about the babies. And so that's a big issue for me. Another issue that's coming to our district that was not even an issue during my campaign is wind farms. And I've learned that this is a massive concern across Texas, but wind farms, affect people's cattle and their and just their land value, their enjoyment of land. and really it's a large government boondoggle that spends a lot more money than energy that it creates.
And do they have wind farms in your district?
Not yet, but they're trying to come in.
So would you be opposed to that and be
Yes,
behind
so-
legislation that would prevent it?
I am not against alternative energy sources that make sense. I mean, and I'm not against harnessing the wind and and turning it into electricity, or harnessing rivers and turning them into electricity, or the sun and turning it into electricity. That's great. But these projects only survive because there's so much federal taxpayer funding coming in. And if you didn't have that, then it wouldn't be viable.
Yeah, those incentives have been a target for a long time
Absolutely.
for Republicans. Yeah.
And so I have a bill that I'm working on that would say that whatever incentives they get from the feds, we're just going to seize that for the state and create a state tax that offsets it. That would really say, okay, if you can stand on your own 2 feet, then go for it.
How would that go with all these West Texas landowners who have all these acres out there, thousands of acres, and have these things up everywhere because of the incentives? I mean, they're getting this extra paycheck from the feds.
Yeah, but when you say they're getting extra paycheck from the feds, they're getting extra paycheck that comes out of your pocket, and my pocket, and everybody who's watching. This is a handout to these West Texas ranch owners
who are often Republican, though.
They
They're
are
not
Republican,
Democrats. They're
and
liberals out there who own these ranches.
And God bless them. I mean, that's great. They're utilizing the system as it is in place, and I'm not here to demonize the landowners who use the system for their own benefit. I just want the system to not. The system needs to benefit Texans, not individual people who have the ability to put up a windmill on there.
But what happens? I mean, we've been through these big cold snaps. We're in one now, and you see, even recently that wind and solar have been sort of propping up the grid on days when we've had a large number of plants that have been offline for one reason or the other. They've been contributing quite a big percentage for parts of the day that are critical. What happens then if we start bringing those wind farms offline?
Yeah, that has happened, and I'm not talking about necessarily taking the wind farms offline that are there. I'm saying in a balanced system, instead of people building wind and solar, which are not as efficient, when you take out subsidies, they're more expensive. They're also not something you can turn on and turn off. A gas plant,
But they've got the
diesel
battery
power
storage
plant.
now,
They can turn out
which
the
is-
battery storage is a whole nother issue that is creating that is concerning people in rural Texas. They moved out into the country, and all of a sudden they have a huge battery facility next to them that the volunteer fire department can't deal with. That shines all these lights, security lights around that messes up their ability to watch the night sky and enjoy their enjoy their lives. And I'm not saying we have to get rid of all those things. I just think that there are considerations that need to be given that that those kinds of projects, historically, electric power plants are in industrial parks in big cities, and then you have lines that go out. Well, now we're taking the electric production out into people's pastures, and there needs to be a balance there.
Last question for you. We're going to keep you for 15 minutes, and now we've gone a lot longer than that. But last question is legalizing gambling.
Yes.
Everybody in Dallas-Fort Worth says we're on the edge of this thing because there are new owners of the Dallas Mavs who own casinos in Las Vegas. Lieutenant Governor Patrick told me there just aren't enough votes for this, at least in the Senate. Would you get behind something like this for legalizing gambling, whether it's little bubbles that have been proposed in certain areas of the state or whether it's just blanket?
First of all, I'm a huge Mavericks fan. Love the Mavericks, Luka and Kyrie and everybody, but I'm not for any kind of gambling. In fact, I think gambling is a net economic loss for the state. It preys on really the most vulnerable people, and that doesn't mean there aren't people who can afford it, who enjoy it, and do a good job.
Are the votes there for it, though, do you think?
Once again, I haven't whipped it. I don't think so. From what I understand, a lot of the incumbents that lost this last round were pro gambling, and the challengers coming in are definitely not. So I think the House has lost traction, whatever traction it had towards gambling. I think there's going to be a big push this session. The lottery is up on Sunset, And there's a lot of people saying, hey, the lottery has not delivered what it said that it would.
Why are you dropping the bomb at the end here?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you
Burying
talking
the
about?
lead, yeah.
Are we getting rid of the lottery?
You think the lottery's going away?
I don't know.
Is there support to get rid of the lottery?
I would say that there are a lot of people saying, hey, let's take a look at the lottery. Are there the votes there? I don't know, but I think the lottery needs to there needs to be at least some reform. There will be a push to get rid of it. Probably will survive, but we need
what kind of reform?
That hasn't been one of my big issues. You can talk
Okay,
to
I know,
Senator
that's
Bob Hall
fine.
on that one, but I know that there are rules and regulations about how they can sell tickets that they've been.
But do you think it might be cleaned up some?
I
this
think
session?
so. I mean, that's what the purpose of the Sunset Commission is to look and say,
At every
do we
department.
still need this?
Right.
And if we do, then should we change how it is? So that's an appropriate thing for us to do.
Last question from me. You've talked about how you want the culture and you think that the culture will change in the House of Representatives this time around. We hear that from time to time as new sessions start. What's going to change? What do you think's changing?
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot on January 14th when we decide who the speaker is going to be. Is it going to continue this path of a coalition of a small group of Republicans and Democrats that kind of rule with an iron fist over the House? Or is it going to be a reform-minded group of mostly Republicans and some Democrats that are reform-minded that want to kind of level the playing field, decentralize the power of the speaker, and allow for the members to really control the House? And I think that, if you could tell me who was going to win that, I'll tell you what kind of culture we're going to have in the House. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to do a lot of hard work.
Brent, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congrats.